I'm going to record. The first part of this, we usually do a state of school for the whole school, and we realize that time is precious these days, and enough Zooms is enough Zooms. One too many is one too many. So we're trying to conflate the state of the school into this presentation, and then we'll get into the move up meetings and really where you all want to meet your new teachers in kindergarten. So welcome again. As you know, we start off just about every single meeting with the vision of our school, and these are our graduates. This is what our children, we strive for them to be when they leave St. Benedict's, whether it's out of the 8th grade, which we hope, but anytime in between, if it's a jumping off spot, they will be confident, courageous, compassionate leaders. And for leaders and leadership, it's not just the person at the front of the bow with the loudest voice. It's understanding who they are, what their differences are, what makes them unique. One may be good at math, one may be good at art. That's what makes a leader for students at St. Benedict's, and then being able to respect that differences and ground it all in faith. That's who our student is. And then every day, the mission of our school is pretty much personified by our teachers, and you're going to meet 2 of them tonight. They inspire the learning on campus. They nurture growth, not just academically, but they make sure and understand that growth is spiritual, that it's social and emotional also. And then embracing the Episcopal education. This is one of those areas where we always show a Venn diagram. If you walk into any Episcopal school, the blue circles exemplify inclusivity, diverse communities. That's any Episcopal school will emphasize that. And then love, respect, that's grounded in faith, again, is what we're all about. At St. Benedict's, we put emphasis on collaboration, teachers working together, even during COVID, as much as they can. And then that sort of bleeds into our students, and they start to collaborate as they learn in our environments. All that together is what we do best, and that makes academic excellence. Anne is very good at this, but as you are entering into kindergarten, understanding why we are an 8th grade cutoff and not growing into high school is an important part of who we are. So Anne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are glad you're joining us tonight. I am very passionate about this model, and I'm very passionate about it for a number of different reasons. And as an administrator, I think it's important to understand that as your children are getting ready to go into kindergarten, we are not just thinking about what's right in front of them. We're thinking about what's coming down the road for them. And so we're thinking about what do they need to have in kindergarten that's going to prepare them for 1st grade, and then on into 7th grade, and then into 8th grade, and then getting them ready for high school. And one of the exciting things we did when we had our first full class of 8th grade was we started backloading all of our curriculum, making sure that we didn't have gaps in what we were hoping to graduate, so that when children were entering in at kindergarten or pre-K or 3 years old or 2nd grade, we knew exactly what they needed to do in that year to get them ready for the next year. And we were always looking further ahead than just their current school year. And that's really important for families to understand, that it's certainly about helping you understand what's coming in the upcoming year, but it's also super important for you to understand that we don't stop thinking about their growth there. And we're constantly thinking about what we need to be implementing in our classrooms to make sure they're ready for every step along the way, and those steps that are coming further along the way. Middle school model, where preschool through 8th grade model is a very important model also, because we are emphasizing that uncertain time in a child's development that we call middle school. It's the time when they probably don't love themselves the most, and they're questioning the most about everything. And we are always watching, and we're keeping an eye on them. We're giving them understanding and grace, and we're giving them a safe place to fail. We're giving them a sense of belonging and leadership opportunities. And so as they age and as they get older, and as they start to go through some of those preteen and teenage years of uncertainty and confusion and growth, we're there along the way to make sure they're not falling through cracks. And we're there along the way to make sure that they are developing, and they are understanding some of their changes, and we're helping them when they don't. As a parent, when my child was looking, when my oldest was looking for a high school, I thought it was just super interesting that the schools I looked at when she was going into kindergarten were not the ones she felt the most comfortable in as a student about to go into high school. And I think that's super important for a family to also understand that this is a very intentional model, because it gives the child ownership into those high school years, and it gives the child ownership into understanding what kind of learner they are, what do they need, what are their strengths, where do they need support, and what do they enjoy, and finding a school that is really tuned in to helping them continue their growth in those last 4 years they're at home before they go to college. The other thing that we didn't realize we were even getting with this model was just the familiarity of an application process, and having her have that experience of applying into a high school was so valuable and helpful when she was applying to college. She wasn't afraid of the process. She understood it had to be done in steps, and she was preparing as she went along the way. She advocated for herself. She did all of the application process herself. And I think she did that because she had had so much experience doing that and being a part of the process and seeing it modeled as she was getting ready to go into high school. And so that is an experience that I found very, very valuable as a parent, and very important for her as a student getting ready to decide what she was going to concentrate her last 4 years at home, what kind of community she was looking for to do that. The next slide, I think, talks a little bit about how we prepare them. So we have a very intentional process of having them get ready for that next step. We, here on this slide, we're showing you some of the schools that we have students leave us to continue on into. Many of these you recognize, I'm sure. The one in the middle, the Cobb Academic Division, is a conglomerate of 7 schools within Cobb County that are free. That's the number one thing they are, but they're also specialized. They offer an advanced educational opportunity for children to stay in the public school systems, and they offer a unique and differentiated way to study in high school. One of them is Wheeler, and they focus on engineering, and Kennesaw Mountain focuses on STEM, and North Cobb is international business, and South Cobb is pre-med, and Pebblebrook is performing arts, and then the one many of us know in the Smyrna, Mapleton, Vinings area is Campbell IB. And that is a unique opportunity that's given to our students. And you don't have to be zoned for any of those other schools to apply into one of these Cobb Magnet programs. We assist you with that application process. We have an outplacement process that's geared to help families find the best fit for them and to help students prepare for that outplacement along the way. And this is where some of our students have left us to go, and they're very successful once they get there.
Getting into our strategic plan, those of you who've been with us for more than 1 or 2 years, you know that we have been striving for these 8 objectives since 2018. And I'm just going to run through the highlights of those real quick before we get to your move up meeting. So next slide. Marketing is a big piece of what we've tried to beef up a little bit. When you all hear the word marketing and communications, some of you may think pretty colors and really good social media and that kind of thing. What I'd like to do as you read through these bullet points on your own is for you to focus on who is sitting next to your child in the classroom. Who are your friends? Who are the people at the ballpark who you want to get to know and you want your children to be with? This is how we find folks that come to St. Benedict's. 95% of everyone here is because of word of mouth and the words that come out of your mouth. This helps align those words to really describe who we are and give everybody a clear picture of that in 5 or 10 minutes or 2 or 3 hours around the barbecue. So think of marketing that way. Enrollment has begun. So if you have not already started thinking about next year, this is the time. Financial aid is a big part of that. We're a school that tries to work with 2 working families in our school. And so providing aid financially is a piece of that. So please do apply. Those begin obviously when you consider returning in February 1st, and then March 15th is when those are due. The other piece of this is getting that word of mouth out. Tuesday, tomorrow, we will be standing outside with this sign, this picture, this sign, imagine a school that champions childhood. We'd love for that to go into your front yard. Obviously, if you are in an HOA and you can't do that, there are other ways that you can share the love of St. Benedict's through Facebook or on Nextdoor. Put a sticker on your car, magnet, and tell your friends about it. After school, as we get closer and closer to the summer, Wednesday, we will be rolling out the summer camp programs. This is just a teaser of all the things that we are doing. We've obviously tried to align those with our curriculum, but also giving children a chance to have fun and enrich who and what they are. And we've also added holiday offerings. So if you obviously are working and the school year has been sporadic, off on, we've tried to create some continuity through our after school through that. Fundraising, your favorite word, right? The Acorn Fund has been very, very successful. For those of you who've been here a while, you've heard this before. Those of you who are new, tuition only goes to a certain amount. It's a large amount of our budget, but the other 3 to 4% of our budget comes from the Acorn Fund. That allows us to do things that we wouldn't normally be able to do, or enhance things that we already are doing, such as professional development. Technology is a big piece of what we're doing. Integrating our Spanish program throughout, not just after school, but during school, and other programs that take a more creative approach to learning. I know our STEAM program is a big part of that, and it was one of our initiatives that started out of the Acorn Fund. This year, this is what it looks like. We're doing an incredible job. Percentages are a big part of what this is about. This is the message that we send outside of St. Benedict's. It tells people outside that what's happening inside is fully funded, that we are stretching ourselves, that we are giving to a capacity way above other independent schools. And that attracts foundations, which is the next slide, which is a big part of a fun part of what we're doing. This year, the Acorn Fund has been able to start the initiative of but continue the initiative of our diversity and inclusion. Those of you who've been here for a while know that this is who we are. It's not just a word in our mission statement, but we are actually putting rubber to the road this year with training in literacy around race. That's been a big part of the second epidemic, I think, that pandemic that the United States has been facing. Being able to teach our children how to share what they see with one another when they graduate and they are going into the workforce, and they look around and it doesn't look like a classroom at St. Benedict's. Hopefully they'll begin to understand something's not quite right, and they'll be able to articulate that. And we're going to be able to do that through enhancing our current curriculum. And then also part of what we're going to be doing next year is taking an inventory, an intercultural development inventory. Sort of puts us on a spectrum of completely non-accepting all the way to accepting and learning ways that we can learn more about one another. So this is going to be rolled out in the middle of next year. Again, I mentioned the STEM program. Angela will go into a little bit about this, but the big piece of STEM, hopefully you will use the word integration to understand what this means. It's not just science, technology, engineering, and math sort of crammed together, but it's using all kinds of different inroads into a lesson. So even if we're doing social studies, we're able to bring a lesson in. Preschool and kindergarten are going to be the beginning of this next year. And we're able to do that, drum roll please, because of a huge foundation gift that we got. This is so exciting for us. It's been 2 or 3 years in the making. Again, back to your participation, it's because of that high participation from parents that foundations like the Quizetta Foundation gave what they did. It's a 3-year grant, and this is some deliverables. If you just want to peruse that real quick, this is what we're expecting, and you should expect from us in the next 2 to 3 years. again, very, very exciting. We brought Angela on 2 years ago to help develop this, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about that. As we met the demands of COVID, we did not stop the demands of our strategic plan. So the building that used to be on the corner had a different name. We're calling it the Hive now. Houses our fourth grade students. We needed to have that in order to open with COVID safely, but that is part of the strategic plan. So we haven't slowed down, and it's a big piece of moving forward into a capital campaign that has several different phases. This was the first phase. So if you look at our real estate, number one, you all drive on every day. That's our main campus. Number two is the Hive. And number three is our South Campus. If you remember, we had made a move to the north of that for a large piece of property on Daniel Street. We have a plan B, and I just wanted to share that with you real quick. Plan B sticks with the same idea. We're going to move the middle school over into a new building. Right now, that building could be located on the top, the blacktop. That includes 12 classrooms. That means 3 classrooms for each grade, but that is not what we have right now. So right now, if we had 12 classrooms built, we would be able to fit all of our specials into that building, and we could remain there through the phase 3 of this. If we had to go on, we would build in phase 4 the specials, which are in yellow. And then phase 5 would be the gymnasium. And part of that is also renovating the blue building that you see and enter every single day to accommodate more of our collaborative learning environment and the STEM program that we are building. So the good news is we've already completed phase 1, and you probably didn't even know it. We were able to raise $250,000 quietly to renovate that building. And then the next 5 phases are outlined in the next slide. We were going to try to purchase the land underneath that building, and that will be another silent phase. So we'll be entering into that very soon. And then phase 3, we do not have a timeline for that as we start to look and see what we are all about after COVID. But then, as you can see, we will be renovating the main campus and then building a gym. So that's a real quick overview. This doesn't happen by itself. It takes people who are able and have a capacity to give a large gift. That could be your grandparents, that could be some friends. If you know any of those kind of folks that would be interested in expanding the mission of St. Benedict's, let myself or our CFO, Christy, know. And if you do have some interest and you think some people want to hear more about this in less than 5 minutes, get your friends together. I like to call this friend raising, when we can all come together without masks on and in a more intimate location. Get them together and we'll do some friend raising. So thanks again, you all. I'm going to turn this over to Angela to talk a little bit more about how we are doing in the classroom. As we've been famous to say, what we do in our 4 walls is what other people do on large campuses with the Chattahoochee River running through it and a lot of fields. We're able to do it because we're exceeding our traditional standards academically. So Angela, it's all yours.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I am Angela McKenzie, and I'm the academic chair. So Ann and I work very closely on all aspects of everything in the classroom. And I'm lucky I get to work with the teachers and help plan projects and curriculum and engaging experiences for your students. So on the next slide, you're going to see, again, 3 circles, but this really is the foundation of everything that we do on a day-to-day basis in the classroom. You're going to see kind of on the outside that there's research, best practice, and standards, and everything is rooted in that. All of us educators are constantly researching and sharing ideas, and obviously the standards are at the heart of what we do. And then all of that translates into curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. And curriculum is what we teach, pedagogy is how we teach. And then obviously the assessment portion is important to not only at this level with kindergarten, make sure that the students are progressing. And both Ms. Howe and Ms. Martinez will talk to you about, just how much they are probably assessing every day, just even in observations. So last year, we employed this particular company called Wright Research, and they created for us an internal assessment management system. And so this goes from preschool up through 8th grade. Any type of assessment that we might do can be entered into this, and then that helps us see trends within our data. Now, before COVID hit, we had our 2021 priorities, and that is for this particular school year. And as we were pulling this presentation together for you for the state of the school, we were looking back at those, and we're pleased because we have already reached all of those goals that we had set. To expand 5th grade to 3 classes. I'm sure middle school and 5th grade seem very far away for you right now. But emphasizing that middle school culture among 5th through 8th grade was another goal that we had for this year. And we have had a lot of success with that over on South Campus. Pre-K through 8th STEAM program development, as Brian mentioned, that has been in the works for several years. And now with the additional STEAM grant, you will really get to see that kind of full steam ahead, especially in the fall. And you'll be hearing your students talk about some of their STEAM projects and activities that they're doing in the classroom. A lot of times our students don't realize that it is STEAM because it is integration, right? And so, they're doing things on a daily basis that are already STEAM projects. And then faculty retention and growth. And that's just really important for us for continuity from year to year and to keep us all sharp. But we have gotten so much technology professional growth here within the last year. And, the teachers have just been so resilient on, having to learn new programs and protocols. And we've been really appreciative of all the professional growth that they have done. So kindergarten is a very, very exciting year. And we know that you all are looking forward to next school year. So we just want to share with you a little bit about what that might look like next year. So these are our amazing kindergarten teachers. We have Miss Webster and Miss Berry, who's pictured right below her, are team teaching this year. Miss Howell, who is on the call, and you'll get to hear from Miss Howell tonight. And she is team teaching with Irene Bach. And then we have Miss Martinez, who was also on our call tonight. So you'll get to hear from her as well. And her team partner is Miss Katz. And then we have Raquel Mendez, and her partner is Natalia Alvarez. And then Miss Gilmore is our remote learning kindergarten teacher this year. So, obviously your children in preschool have already been focusing on phonemic awareness and reading readiness. And everybody comes into not only preschool and pre-K, but also comes into kindergarten, at a different level of phonemic awareness and reading readiness. But that is our goal in that kindergarten year, is to help them really strengthen phonemic awareness, and then create those building blocks to this balanced literacy. And so I love this image because it really shows you the foundation. Phonemic awareness is where it all begins, because that is with the listening. And then you move into phonics, which then connects the sound with the letter. And then you can move on from that point to learn to read. And so, learning to read is such a monumental task. And I know that some of you may have readers in your house already, and some of you may be eager for that to happen. But I assure you that you will see such progress in their kindergarten year. So I'm going to turn it over for the next several slides to the kindergarten teachers so they can talk to you more about the curriculum.
All right. Hi, I'm Miss Howell. This is my 9th year teaching kindergarten at St. Benedict's. And just to elaborate on what Angela was just saying, that's one of the reasons I love teaching kindergarten, is because the growth that you see, it's amazing and phenomenal. And the kids, when they realize they're reading, sometimes they don't even know that they're reading. The lights and the flashes that go off in their eyes and above their head is amazing. So that's why I love this. But just to tell you a little bit more about our phonics and writing, as listed below, there are several components to how we teach phonics and writing. Our main one is our super kids, which are a group of students that the kids meet. It's how we introduce half of our alphabet. So every time we meet a new super kid, we do different activities that involve that super kid. For example, Cass is our first super kid. Cass loves to cook and cooking up concoctions, and they learn that first letter C. As I mentioned, it's multifaceted, this Super Kids program. It not only teaches the phonics foundations, but it's also our handwriting, our reading readiness, and then we supplement that with other activities like dictation, making sure we form the letters correctly. We're recognizing the sound and letter correspondence. And then along with that, other pieces to our phonics and language arts curriculum, we kind of go into Explode the Code, small group instruction. With language arts, we do whole class and then we break into smaller groups. And that's really where we do a lot of our assessing. We see where the kids are, we meet them where we are. We want to make sure that we are challenging them where they are and, providing information along the way to help them, sound out those harder letters and words. And that's where Super Kids really comes in handy. And then also with our Explode the Code, which is another supplemental piece that we use, which is also a foundational skill. It focuses more on vowels first, and then it goes into blends. So, we have all these components, and the students love it. I don't think the students even realize that they're learning some of the time because it's so fun. They get to meet the super kid. It's very, very exciting when we get to meet our next super kid. And then after we meet all the super kids, we find out that they form this club. And it's a really great piece that we have multi-components to. And then, as I said, we do have small groups with guided reading and small group instruction. During those small group times when students are not working with a teacher, they're working independently on handwriting or working on a puzzle or doing some other fun games that help enhance what we are learning in the classroom. And going along with that, we do have sight words. While we don't send home homework in kindergarten, the one thing we depend on our families is to help with practicing those sight words every day, and then of course reading at night. And that can be you reading to your child or your child starting to read to you. So those are the really two pieces that we kind of depend on our families for, to make sure that they're practicing those sight words, because a lot of the books that we start reading are very sight word heavy, and that's where they're going to get those foundational skills and grow confident with their reading.
All right, so my name is Lynette Martinez. So I'll be talking to you about our curriculum for math, which is Envision Math. So basically the way we have a lot of different resources online to pick and choose from to spark that first initial interest with the students. There is a video with they have these interactive characters that they are always wanting to find out who's the one with the orange hair or anything like that, if it's Alex or Marta or whoever it is. And it's just a way to engage them in that initial, what's our topic going to be, and how we can take the math that we're learning into real life. And so it's always fun to spark their interest like that. And so some of the other components that we have into math are, we have always our hands-on manipulatives that we always have ready at hand if we need it, or if a student is struggling, we can always pull from those resources to kind of help them one-on-one, or even just to take that as a whole group moment that we can have those students, really be touching the manipulatives and learning with them. Also, math is a great opportunity to maybe ask those higher order questions, and just a way to really check the students' understanding and see if they can really explain those concepts that are maybe more abstract, and tell us what their thinking is, and that could be different than what somebody next to them is thinking. And it's just a chance for us to be able to differentiate between our students and the way we question them. Calendar time is also a way that we can take those small moments and really kind of do some informal assessment, whether it just be seeing who knows the days of the week or who is struggling with counting, skip counting, either by tens, fives, or tens or twos. And we make it a fun way. Like I know in my classroom, we have something called the counting club. And so everybody wants to enter this counting club, which is just having their name on this sheet of paper, but it's a motivation for them to get entrance into this counting club. And so it's a way for us also to just assessment on a daily basis. Our topics of addition and subtraction are meant to be in kindergarten, just an introduction, and just to kind of spark that interest and build those building blocks. So in first grade and so on, they will build upon that. There is a review after every topic. And so after every review, of course, there's an assessment. So we get to assess the students on every topic. Let's see if I think that's about it that I had on that.
Okay, so these are just some of the science topics that we cover. We typically rotate science and social studies every 1 to 2 weeks. And especially with science, we really like to tie it in with what's happening weather-wise and season-wise. So just some of the topics that we cover are, what is science, and then animals, seasons, water, weather, earth, and the sun. Another favorite is the life cycle. And one fun project that we do is students will bring in a life cycle of themselves, and they get to be creative for how they show themselves as a teenager and as an adult. So that's really fun to see what they think they'll look like and what they think they'll be doing. But we do a lot of hands-on. We do, and these are just foundational topics that the students will dive deeper into as they move up grades.
And social studies, kind of same thing that Ms. Howell was talking about, and how we just try to incorporate it with what's going on at the time in the season, or what holidays are happening during that time. Of course, at the beginning of the school year, we dive into the citizenship and the responsibility and the school rules, as that's something that a lot of the kids coming up, it's a brand new way of looking at school. It's a more structured day for them, and it's a longer day for them. So learning the ins and outs and just how it feels to be actually at school with the longer day and sitting and doing academics. So we really dive into that for a good 2 weeks, I would say, and kind of be on. And then maybe for some, it's just taking that adjustment time from maybe like a month or so of school to learn that. And then I think one of our first projects for social studies was the community helper project, which is always a lot of fun. The kids get to choose what kind of community helper they would like to be when they grow up. And before COVID and all that, we would sometimes even open it up to parents to be able to come in and just talk. If they had a fun career they would want to come in and talk to. We had, I believe, a police officer and a firefighter at some point come in. And so there's always ways that we could handle that. Even now, that we could always do a Zoom meeting or something like that if there was an interest of a parent that wanted to do that. So we're always open to working with you guys and just giving those our students those opportunities to get those connections with real life, and just not connecting in the classroom, but also within our community and just worldwide. And so here's Miss Marta. I know many of you that are just coming up from preschool know her. She is not a shy person. So if you know her, she's wonderful, and she just has an amazing energy that the kids just kind of thrive on, and they just love Miss Marta. And she is always coming with new ways to just engage them and immerse them with the Spanish language. So, and even on the Zoom classes, she has this energy and is able to just kind of, you feel like she's in the classroom. So she's just wonderful, and we love Miss Marta, and the kids love her too.
So just a little bit about our co-curricular classes in a non-COVID world. We have a different special every day. So some of those specials are the co-curriculars. Some of the teachers come into our class to teach, and then for classes like PE, they will go outside usually, which is great because it gets them moving and out of the classroom. But as you see here, these are all of our co-curricular teachers. Typically we have PE twice a week to get that extra movement. And then as you see, we also include art, sacred stories, music, creative movement. And then we, in an ideal world, as I said, we usually go to the library once a week for the students to listen to a few stories from Ms. Painter, and then they get the opportunity to check out 1 or 2 books to keep until we return to the library the following week.
So our schedule, I think Ms. Howe just kind of covered it a little bit, but this is the breakdown of our schedule. I will say that I think for everybody could speak to this, that for students to arrive here at 7:40 to, I would say, 8:10 would be just golden, because that's the time for them to be able to come in, unpack, and settle into their routine and not feel rushed or miss any important information that we may be sharing. And it also wouldn't, have them starting the day off wrong with already being behind if they come in late. So for us, that's kind of a crucial thing I wanted to mention. We have 1 special per day, or co-curricular, excuse me, at least. And our daily non-COVID, we may have more than 1 per day. But right now, we at least have 1 just to kind of minimize exposure and all that. Spanish is every day, whether it be Zoom or in person with Miss Marta. Obviously, we have recess for about 30 minutes or so. We have reading groups. We try to aim for at least 3 times a week. Chapels on Wednesdays, and that is also with pre-K. At the end of the day, or I think whatever kind of everybody's schedule is, we try to do free choice centers or free play, where the kids kind of have a opportunity to be able to interact with their friends in a more, just an everyday kind of social environment. And even right now, I mean, I know with COVID and everything, we're very conscious of that and try to keep them separated while they still have interactions between each other. And I know that doesn't sound ideal, but I mean, we've been doing this since August, and the kids and us have gotten used to it. And so, we find ways that we can work with it. And I think they've gotten used to it. And I mean, they've gotten to know each other just as well as I would say, as if it would just be a normal kind of, kindergarten classroom where there was no protocols to have to follow. But yeah, that's our schedule.
And then just for technology, I mean, this year we did implement a 1-to-1 technology for kindergarten. We typically do this about once a week, and we provide activities on Seesaw, which is an app that we use. And they are activities that go along with whatever we are learning in the classroom, whether it be practice recognizing and writing numbers, sounding out words, finding rhyming words. So we try to find activities that kind of go along with what we are doing in the classroom and provide those opportunities for students to work on their iPads. We don't do it a lot for this age, just because that personal interaction is so important. And we know that a lot of these kids are probably using some of it when they get home. So we want them to have the practice to be familiar with Seesaw and how to, complete the activities, but we also want to provide, those personal relationships that they can get face to face.
All right. So one program that we are hoping to bring back next year is our Bee Buddy program. And what we do is we pair up everybody from actually preschool through 8th grade, and they all have a partner class. And so kindergarten actually pairs with our 8th grade class. So our 8th graders next year would pair with your students. And if we were in school right now in a normal setting where we could do Bee Buddies, you would find that your preschoolers right now would be mentored by our 4th graders, because they are the oldest in the lower school, as our 5th graders start with middle school, and they mentor our 1st graders, our 6th graders mentor our 2nd graders, and our 7th are paired up with our 3rd. So it's a fantastic program that we started last year, and that just look at those smiles and those pictures, right? I mean, we tried at the middle school level this year, we brainstormed so many different options and how could we keep this alive during COVID? And, you know, that's what you need to see there, you know, the smiles of those personal relationships that they're building. And we knew that that would be pretty tough, you know, doing it via Zoom. Now, last spring, I will say, because we had so many months together in the classroom, when we did go virtual, we did hold our Bee Buddies a couple times via Zoom. And so that was fun, because of course, then they wanted to show, you know, their Bee Buddy, their bedroom and their stuffed animal and all that fun stuff. So that is something that we are hoping to bring back next year. But you all have a very cool graduation year from St. Bees as 8th graders, because you are the class of 2030. So very exciting, monumental coming into kindergarten next year, as well as all those years that lie ahead of them. I know the one thing that you may have questions on that we may not have covered yet is uniform, and what does that look like? So I'm going to turn that back over to Anne.
That is a big deal for these little ones as they move into kindergarten, is the start of a uniform. And it is the cutest thing in the world to see them walk in the first day of kindergarten in their brand new plaids and navies and yellows and light blues. So we will send all of the information out about uniforms over the summer with your welcome packet and back to school packet. We usually send that in June, or usually mid-June. You'll get that from us. In the meantime, you might want to know that we do use Lands' End as our uniform supplier, and you can use all the coupons you typically get as a regular customer of Lands' End towards their school uniforms. And we always put in the buzz when they have special promotions or special sales going on, so that you can take advantage of that for school uniforms. They run several throughout the year that's 40% off, and that's a great time to buy. We also have a group of very dedicated parents in the Parent Association who run a used uniform sale, and over the summer we will have a couple of opportunities. We always have a couple of opportunities for you to come and just shop in their used uniform items, so that there are some things that you can buy that are in next to brand new shape and gently used, and it's a great opportunity to start your uniform collection. But that is a big part of it. One of the things I'm often asked is, what does that look like for the kids? And if you don't have older ones, I'll tell you that in kindergarten through 4th grade, the boys are in navy slacks or navy shorts, and we don't care which ones they wear when. Boys tend to never get cold, so that's totally a parental decision. And then the polos are light blue, they're white, they're yellow. You have an option for that. There is a chapel shirt that we ask them to wear on Wednesdays for chapel. And then the girls can either wear the plaid skirts, the plaid jumpers. They have navy shorts, and they also have navy slacks if girls prefer to wear those. They have the same color polos, and they have a different, that's a little bit different styled shirt for chapel too. And then there's plenty of headbands and accessories and sweaters and fleeces and all kinds of fun things that you can add to that. So we'll send all of that out, and we will make sure that you have all the information you need about ordering, and lots of resources for you to be able to find what you need. So I think that ends the slides. And at this point, what we'd like to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And we invite you to use either the chat function to ask any of us questions. You have Angela, Brian, and I, who administratively can answer any questions that you may have. And then, of course, Ms. Howell and Ms. Martinez will be happy to answer any of your classroom questions that you may have. If you prefer to not use the chat, you can also just unmute, and we would be happy to take your questions that way too.
I just wanted to mention, and like I said, in a non-COVID year, you know, we have a pretty open classroom. You know, we like for families to come and do mystery readers, to come and decorate our door, to help us with our class celebrations, you know, around Valentine's Day and the holidays. So that is one area where we really miss it this year, because especially these kiddos love to see the surprise of you guys being a mystery reader. So hopefully we can start that back up next year. But we do have you guys included in our classroom. We love to have you guys in here to read, to help do a project or a craft, and to help us with parties.
We're educators. We can wait out the good questions. We can also leave early if we need to. Not afraid. I've got one in the chat room. We have a used uniform online store. Okay, on the website. Yep. And you shared that, I think.
I have one question. When do we find out what classroom our child is in for the next year?
Oh, that's a great question.
And
So
Anne is the secret hat. She does all the
The sorting.
it's a very scientific, unscientific, precise, not precise process. So let me tell you how we do it. We lean on current year teachers to give us recommendations as to what type of environment your child learns best in. So your pre-K teachers know your children and how they respond to a classroom situation better than anyone else does. That being said, they also do know the personalities of the kindergarten teachers too. And so they understand, because there is such a collaborative environment at St. Bede's, and because no one grade level is not known to another grade level, they often can take your child's personality and they can match it to one of the teacher personalities that they think would be a great fit for them. But I do love, as particularly in kindergarten, sitting in a kindergarten meeting where the kindergarten teachers start vying and competing for certain ones. It's a ton of fun for me. So there is that too, that also tends to happen. And they also know which friends are good for your children to be in an academic environment with, and which ones might need to have a different classroom for. And so they usually, your pre-K teachers will submit a list to us. I review that with the kindergarten teachers. They barter and haggle and bribe me for all kinds of things that I can't talk about. And then I typically look at it from a parent standpoint. And so I typically will say, this parent would do better with this kind of a communicator as a teacher, or they need this kind of a personality. And so, you know, we do talk through that. I will tell you, as your children get older, you know, Wendy Porter Cage, CPC, also gets involved in some of these because she gets to know your children very, very well too. So it doesn't happen by any one person, and these lists go through 8, 9, 10 revisions. So it's a big process that we start usually in April, and sometimes we don't finish it until you hear about the welcome letter from your teacher in July. So you usually get an email from your teacher, and then your children will typically get a postcard or something in the mail to get them excited. And then we'll start transition opportunities in late July, early August, so your children can get to the teacher and do some fun things with them. So it's depending on what COVID looks like, you know, we'll either plan a play date at a park, or we'll do a fun scavenger hunt on Zoom, something like that.
And we, as a team, we plan together. So while the personality and the teaching style might be different, we all teach the same topics and content. It just, the delivery is what changes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
My apologies if this has already been addressed. I'm trying to get my son to play chess and finish work and do this at the same time. So apologies if I missed this, but I saw that the schedule, they pack up and they're kind of packed up by 2:20. I have an older son who He gets, carpool at 3:15. What happens in that gap period of time? Does kindergarten get out before the rest of the grade school? Okay.
So kindergarten gets out at 2:20 and Nolan would get out at 3:10. And then what typically happens is you would have an hour of passport care so that you could pick them both up. So
Got it. Thank
that would be, we have an option for passport just particularly for this situation, just for the kindergarten siblings that have older elementary siblings that can just stay for that 1 hour. And then we can release them all together at carpool. So
That's great. Wonderful.
And I have a quick question. What are you looking at for clubs? You think they still will be gone next year? Is that looking any better?
I mean, that's $1 million question. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at summer camps
we're
right
gonna
now.
we're trying them out during the summer, and I think that'll be the big thing. And then weighing in on health in the fall is going to be a part of it too. Trying to keep, if we have to keep everybody in their pods again, it's less likely. If we're able to commingle a little bit more and we all feel like it's I think the number I keep hearing is 5% positivity rate is sort of the below that we get safer. Maybe that's an opportunity for us to offer the clubs. I know there are a few teachers that are chomping at the bit to be able to do some new things that they've been dreaming about over last summer and into last spring. So hopefully we can do it.
And
Yeah.
there is a kindergarten boot camp club this summer, we hope. If anybody just wanted to send that plug out there.
Yeah, the summer programs I think are going to happen. It's that
Yeah.
pod thing in the fall that it'll make a difference for clubs.
And that kindergarten boot camp is a great, I was talking to another parent about that today. That's a great opportunity for your children to not only transition, but it's taught by our kindergarten teachers. So they get a good introduction during the summer of what the schedule looks like, what they can expect, some of the classroom routines. It's a great opportunity to come in and have a little preview of what kindergarten is going to be. And it's a great opportunity for the teachers to get to know your children too, and to start working with them on certain skills that, that we can work on together, and breaking them up into groups and knowing, that assessment process definitely starts during that camp, right, Marissa? I mean, you would definitely agree with that.
And it kind of just gives them kind of a jump start to what kindergarten looks like. I feel like it kind of sets them up for success. I plan on teaching it as well as Miss Mendes. We're gonna bring the gang back together and teach it this summer. So just wanted to put that plug out there.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of accustoms them of the different classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to give a shout out to Miss Marta, because she's my friend and coworker. So I know that she would love to, for me to mention that she has been anxious and wanting to return to getting to her clubs. So that is also an opportunity for the students if they have never received any Spanish type of immersion. They would definitely get that with Miss Marta, and she does her cooking clubs. And so it's a lot of fun. And I've kind of worked with her and doing one of those summer camps, and it's a lot of fun, and the kids enjoy it, and they always have something delicious to eat too, and the kids love it.
Any other questions?
Hi, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Olivia. Well, I think you got some feedback going on. You want to type it? Can you type it in the chat and I'll read it for you?
Okay.
While we wait for that, anybody else have a question? Well, then we'll just wait.
Well, I'll just say that I think it's, I know that this information may feel a little overwhelming right now, but especially as you're trying to wrap up the pre-K year, but I will tell you that this is, this kindergarten program is one that I've been proud of for a really long time. And they do such, I mean, I'm proud of every grade, but it's so fun to watch the amount of growth. It's definitely the year, as we've alluded to, that you see the most. And it's so fun to see these teachers with your children and all of the fun things that they're going to be learning and all the things that they're going to be doing. They're really going to be able to, you're going to be amazed at how much growth there is. And we're seeing like the writing samples from the first month to the writing samples towards the end. It's truly amazing. And yes, they do graduate to the big playground and go to the blacktop for recess, and they use the field next to the preschool entrance for PE, that open field that's there for PE. So they get a lot more movement. They start feeling like big kids. And this is a program that I know I'm super, super proud of. So I just think you have a lot of exciting things in store and really fun things to look forward to. And these teachers do it better than anybody I've ever seen. So
Thanks, Anne.
You know, we're your favorite secretly.
just because you bribed me.
When Marissa said she'd been here for 9 years, my eyes popped out. I was like, really?
Hey, I've been here for 11.
I know,
Going
Lynette.
on.
That is even
12?
incredible.
Yeah.
11
Day
years
one, Lynette, day one.
from
I
the
send
beginning.
my kid here now, so
Yeah.
we're in it for the long haul.
Well, we thank you guys for your time. Obviously, we're here. So if you have any other questions or this brings up other questions, let us know. We'll be sending out a copy of this. If you are a subscriber of our YouTube channel for Chapel, you'll be able to get it there. So feel free to join that, subscribe to it. I don't have the way to get to it yet, but we'll send out a link too if you need it. So again, thanks a lot, you all. Have a good night. I hope this is your last Zoom meeting of the night. Marissa, get home.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank
See
you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Take care.